The greatest moment at Memorial Stadium took place on October 17, 1971. The 1971 World Series pitted the Baltimore Orioles against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Orioles went in as the defending world champions and were heavily favored to repeat. They had won 100 games for the third straight season and had a pitching staff with 4 20-game winners, along with some excellent offense. They were playing their third straight Fall Classic and had also won 18 of their last 23 postseason games. The Pirates were playing in their first Fall Classic since 1960, and even though they weren't quite as formidable as the Orioles team, they did have a good offensive lineup and some excellent team chemistry. The Orioles would win the first 2 games, and it looked like they were on their way to repeating as world champions. But going into Game 3, outfielder Roberto Clemente took matters into his own hands. After the Pirates lost Game 2, Arriba would go into the clubhouse and get on the players' backs, letting them know the series was not over and that they were going to win the next 3 games. Motivated, the Pirates would do exactly that, with Clemente leading the charge. The series shifted back to Baltimore, where the Orioles would win a dramatic Game 6 on a 10th inning sacrifice fly by Brooks Robinson to force a 7th game. Game 7 would be a rematch of the Game 3 starters, Mike Cuellar for the Orioles and Steve Blass for the Pirates. Both teams would be held scoreless for the first 3 innings, but in the top of the 4th, Roberto Clemente would come up to the plate and hit his second home run of the series to give the Pirates a 1-0 lead. The game would remain 1-0 through the 7th inning, as both teams would have few base runners, and with the way the game was going, it was very likely that the Pirates' lone run was going to be enough. In the top of the 8th inning, the Orioles would get to Cuellar again. Willie Stargell would lead off with a single and would score on a double by Jose Pagan. Cuellar would get out of the inning, but the run would prove to be big. In the bottom of the 8th, the Orioles would get to Blass. Elrod Hendricks and Mark Belanger would lead off with singles, and pinch hitter Tom Shope would sacrifice them to second and third. Don Buford would then ground out, scoring Hendricks and putting Belanger at third. But Blass would get Davy Johnson to ground out, and the Pirates were 3 outs away from their first title in 11 years. Pat Dobson came in to pitch the top of the inning, and the Pirates hoped they could tack on some runs, since the Orioles would have 3 heavy hitters due up in the bottom half in Boog Powell, Frank Robinson, and Merv Redmond. After Dobson retired the first 2 hitters, Bob Robertson and Manny Sanguillen both singled to put runners on first and second, with the dangerous Willie Stargell coming up. With a golden opportunity for the Pirates to blow the game open, Dobson was taken out and replaced by Dave McNally. But McNally would get pops to ground out, and in the bottom of the inning, the Pirates knew that their 4th world title would have to be earned. Blass would face Boog Powell leading off and get him to ground out. Then future Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, who had hit 586 home runs in his career, came to the plate. He would be retired on a pop-up, and with 1 out to go, Blass had another dangerous hitter to face in Merv Redmond, with Game 6 hero Brooks Robinson on deck. With high anticipation for both the Pirates and Orioles, Blass would get Redmond to ground out, and the Pirates were world champions. The 71 Fall Classic would be remembered not just for being one of the big World Series upsets, but also remembered for having 7 future Hall of Famers, hosting the first World Series night game, and having its share of heroics from unlikely faces. But what's best remembered was the torrid hitting of series MVP Roberto Clemente. Arriba had secured his place in baseball lore as one of the game's greatest hitters and most influential players, but in the 71 World Series, he would add to that legacy, not only motivating the Pirates, but hitting safely in every game in what would be his last World Series, finishing with a batting average of .414 with 12 hits, 5 extra base hits, 4 runs batted in, and also giving him his second World Series ring.